I have run 3 multi-7-figure companies and I still do. And that's what I credit a lot of the success of what I've done to morning routines. Like not all of it, but a fair bit of it, because they've helped me get through times where I didn't know what the fuck I was doing and I didn't know how I was going to complete something and I was really stressed. And they helped me write a book. Like I wrote a whole book, the Good Influence book, because of my morning routine. So some of you may know how this works, but I just want to have like a really casual chat and conversation about what mine looks like and how I think you guys can benefit from it. What's going on, guys? Zach Perna here and welcome back to another episode of the Zach Perna podcast. Now, I have a cool topic today. I want to talk about morning routines, the most contentious topic potentially, because morning routines went through a phase where they were the GOAT. Like, remember when morning routines was literally the difference between success and not? Like, everyone's like, oh, damn, dude, what's your morning routine? You're like, oh, bro, wait to hear this shit. And it was like the more shit you could do in a morning routine that was irrelevant, that was like the more successful. Like, if you did an hour of goat yoga, you meditated for 4 hours, you wrote journals and wrote poems for about 2 hours, and then you finally start the day and it's like 4 p.m. Everyone's like, well, you must be pretty successful. And now it's gone like the opposite, where it's like, if you have a morning routine, that means you're a loser. I feel like that's the consensus at the moment. So I'd like to say that I'm a bit in the middle, right? And I'm more towards the side of morning routines are good. And I want to talk about that and I'm gonna tell you exactly what that looks like. Now, first of all, I wake up, bang, how good is that? Revolutionary. Did you guys know that? I'm not gonna wake up in the morning. It's ridiculous. You should try it. I wake up and then I have caffeine straight away. Now, like people like Huberman say, like you need to delete your caffeine 90 minutes after waking. I tried that once and I'm like, you're from hell, because that's hard. I'm tired in the morning. And so I'm like, you know what? Nah, I'm reaching for the caffeine out of bed. So I basically have 30 seconds to get caffeinated and then I go back to bed. Now, I do this on purpose because there's this sweet spot in the morning of work, and I've mentioned this in one of the last episodes, of where if I can work by myself in bed, uninterrupted, I get some really creative stuff done first thing in the morning. Now, what time is this? 6 a.m., sometimes 5:30. When I'm doing good work, I get excited. I want to get up earlier. And I save a lot of my work for that morning. Let's rewind. Let's actually rewind the night before, because I have a bit of a strict rule with myself where I don't like to work after like 7:30 p.m. Like after dinner, I don't like to work. For me, at night, that's my time to like wind down, relax, get ready for sleep. Otherwise, it impacts my sleep, which impacts my day. So I have a kind of an evening routine, which is just chill out. I mean, I just relax. I just don't work. So anything that needs to be done, like, you know, at night that I realize, I go bang, that's a morning job. So end of the night, I sometimes like write a list of the things I'm going to tackle in the morning. And it's typically creative work. It's planning, because planning is such a hack for me, because I put things in my calendar and then all I have to do is rock up and do it. If it's creative planning, like reels, content ideas, copywriting, you know, things like that. But the morning for me, 6 a.m., sometimes 5:30, I'm in bed and I'm doing the creative work. And I don't touch my phone at this time as well. And I think that's really important. And when I do touch my phone and like have a bit of a scroll or whatever, I freak out. And I always do, because I'll just check one notification. I check the notification and maybe I saw, you know, something bad, maybe something negative or just not ideal. I will catastrophize that. And my brain will go like, this is terrible, you're a shit human. And now I'm like focusing on that. I'm like problem solving first thing in the morning. Like I'm just reactive. And instead of that, I just leave my phone on do not disturb and I'm proactive in the morning. So I'm doing the thing that I planned on doing whenever I set it up, because that was important to me. So I think there's like trust in what your plan is. You know, so if I say, this is important to me to structure my week like this, and it's important that in the mornings I get this done and this done and this done, I don't want to react and problem solve the next morning, because I already said that I was going to do those things and they were important to me. So I stick to it. So even in the morning, like when you're checking your phone and your brain's half asleep, it is weird. It's like you're in a half dream state. You overthink, you're more emotional, you're less logical. So I just don't do that. At least an hour and a bit after, I can check my phone and go, yep, this is okay. I'll do that later. I can think rationally. And that work in the morning, it's always either creative or super important, because you guys probably know there's some things that you need to do that you put off always. Like you always put them off. It never feels right. You never want to do them. You gotta, you know, you just think, oh, I want to wait till I'm in a certain mood or whatever. Mornings, I don't know why, but that's when I like to do that stuff. I do the things that are going to move the needle in the business or personal life or whatever that is, because the other stuff is not really as important, right? But what you need to do now that's going to move the needle, the really important stuff, I like to get that done first, because then I can go about my day knowing I've already done something to move the needle in the business. I've already done a bit of work to move forward. So that looks like typically 2 hours in bed in the morning of working. And that's how I wrote my book, is that every morning, no matter what, I said to myself, I'm going to just write. I don't really know what. I mean, I planned a whole bunch of random chapters in the beginning, and I said, I'm just going to write every morning for an hour or 30 minutes. It was just a chapter was the goal. I just got to write a chapter, and I can't get out of bed until I've finished a chapter. I didn't overcomplicate and think, oh, but what about the structure of the book, and what about the themes, and what about the chapters, and how's it going to flow? I was like, you know what? That's later Zach's problem. I'm just going to focus on getting the words down for that chapter at that time period. And what happened was I literally wrote a book in like 40 days. I'd had 80% of the book done in under 8 weeks. And I was like, whoa, that's actually crazy. I hit 50,000 words. And then the easy stuff after that was polishing it, rewriting, stylizing, like getting the categories right, adding some bits, taking some bits out. But I couldn't have done it without that bulk work in the morning, because at that time, writing the book was very important to me. So I'm like, I need to do this in the morning. If I had have said, oh yeah, I'll do that later, I would have done it maybe 2 days out of the week, and then it probably would have fizzled and I never would have finished it. So there are things that you have on your plate at the moment that you probably know you need to do, right? And you're just not doing it. You're putting it off, you're procrastinating because you're human. And I would do those things first, because you'll be surprised how fast you can get them done, especially when it's uninterrupted. No one's bugging you. You're not problem solving. You've literally got this time in the morning to yourself. And if you don't, get up earlier and try and get that. Of course, you're going to need to go to bed earlier. You can't just like get less sleep, but at least you're prioritizing that time for you, and there's no other excuse. So I always get up earlier for that reason, and just get up as early as you need to be, right? I'm not going to tell you what time to get up. It's completely random. It doesn't make any sense. One other thing I do after that is still the cold exposure, because I've been doing cold exposure ever since I read Wim Hof's book back in like COVID times. And I just loved how I felt after it, because it would wake me up and I'd get heaps of dopamine. And like, I love feeling really awake and like alert and stuff like that. I don't like feeling like all chilled out and like out of it. It's not me. So a cold shower or like ice bath or whatever, I love that feeling, because I'm like up, I'm energized, I'm like chatty, I'm good to go and excited. And I realized that when I did like cold exposure, it just fostered that, and I felt really good after it. So I don't even know if it's got that many benefits, to be honest, but it makes me feel good, puts me in a good mood, and that's what's important to me. Because doing things that put me in a good mood, great. That helps me stress manage, it helps me do better work. It brings the best version of myself out. So I do cold exposure in the shower typically, because my ice bath is getting redone, but story for another day. Then after that, I meditate for 4 hours. I don't do that at all. That was a joke. What I do is I pretty much just get into some other work, but I just have a little bit more caffeine. Cheeky, just a coffee this time. Black coffee, because I'm fasting, so that kind of suppresses my appetite a bit, and I get another bit done. Now, depending on the time, sometimes I'll train in the morning. If I've got a really busy day and I don't want to miss my session, I'll train in the morning. But other times I just kind of get stuck into work. And one thing I was doing recently is, and this is, I guess, at a different stage of business, because this was when, things are obviously going a bit more busy and the business is doing well, is where I'm kind of trying to outsource a few things. So I'll do one thing in the morning that is like a delegation area. And it could be like just one thing, or just 15 minutes or 20 minutes spent on delegation. So this could be identifying tasks that I could outsource, or it could be building like a training or an SOP to give someone to like for that task. So if I was going to hire someone to do a certain task, like say video editing, or even anything, for the business that I don't want to do myself, or I want someone else to do it, I might just spend time training that. It could be training a VA, or hiring a VA, or doing any of those things. I'll dedicate some of that time. And for a long time, I would go every day spent a little bit on that. So I'd make 15 minutes, carve it out of like delegation time almost, which after a while, like one day of it, you think, oh yeah, that feels pretty good. But after a while, you've already taken like 5 things off your plate. You're like, oh, that's crazy. I have so much more time now. So that's been really good as well. After that bit of like delegation work, I basically start content planning, because I have a lot of content that's being produced now. So obviously this podcast is one. There's my normal Instagram reels. There's some ads sometimes, just content. There's a lot of content that's in my normal YouTube videos that has to be planned and organized. And I do that in that bit of the morning as well, before I get into the actual day, so that every day I know those things are getting done. And to me, that's super important, because that means that every day, no matter what else happens, no matter how many meetings I get like dragged into or set up or anything like that, I've done the most important things for my business. Now, I know that like for a lot of people, it could be helpful, but it also could be like, oh yeah, but I work a different job. What am I supposed to do? So I'm always trying to think like, what does this mean for you guys watching this? And how would you, or listening to this, how would you do something with that information? And I think personally is that time in the morning should be spent on what lights you up and what you're trying to build. I mean, if you're trying to get ahead in your current career, then do stuff in that time that's going to help you get there. If you're trying to build something on the side or you have aspirations of doing something bigger, then only do that stuff in the morning. Like put that time into your morning routine, because if you have a morning routine, you're more likely to stick to it, and that stuff will end up getting done. So one thing that really helped me is like the book. It was a perfect analogy. When I thought about writing a book, I was like, this is going to be impossible. I've never written a book before. That's like 60,000 words. Like I did the maths. I'm like, that is ridiculous. I don't have that much knowledge in my stupid little brain. Then when I thought, after I finished a chapter, I thought, could I do another one of these tomorrow? I was like, yeah, of course I could. Easy. But I can't write a book, but I could do one chapter. That's how I felt. But one chapter every day is a book in, 30 days or whatever that is. So that was a massive turning point for me, big lesson, because I thought I can't do the big thing. I can do the small thing though. And you can apply that to everything, because you don't need to do the big thing. Like that big thing, like you don't have to write a book. No one just writes a book. You write a chapter, you write a page, you write for 10 minutes, and that adds up, because you can always do the small step, right? No one's asking you to climb the mountain. They're asking you to take a step. For me, it's cardio, so I probably would avoid it. I'd probably say no. But you don't have to do the massive feat of accomplishment, right? So you can set a really big, scary goal and then go, well, what's the absolute smallest thing I can do today or tomorrow that's going to set me, one tiny step forward? And I can do that every day. And then slowly you'll start compounding and getting more and more until you feel different about the whole situation. You feel confident. And until the end, you've already done it. So the morning routine for me was a lifesaver, because it allowed me to basically focus on what's important. So not stretch out the morning to go like, I'm just going to fill it with enough junk, but I do what I need to do to move the needle in the business and my life, and also what feels good as well. Because to me, I like feeling productive. So when I get that stuff done, it actually puts me in a good mood. And I feel like now my day's set up for success because I've already done the hard thing. I've already gotten up and had a cold shower when I didn't want to, because I hate that. I already did that work that I've been putting off for so long. Now I feel a sense of satisfaction. And once you do those things, it's a simple feeling of, I didn't want to do that. I should have. I did it. I feel better. That's like every time. And it never gets old for me. I don't want to have a cold shower. I'm going to do it anyway. Now I feel good because I pushed through that. And as opposed to feeling like you lost, like cold shower 1, you lost, you bitched it. Now you feel like a bit of a loser. How are you going to go about the rest of your day? Like that's how I feel. I don't know if anyone else can resonate with that. But if I give up first thing in the morning and I set my day up on the tone of giving up, weakness, reactive, if I set the day up like that, there's a flow-on effect and I feel it in all other aspects of my day. As opposed to if I start the day strong, that could be with a workout for some of you guys, could be with cold shower, or it could be with the work that I was doing. The rest of the day, much easier. As usual, if you guys enjoyed this, please give it a decent rating on podcasts or subscribe to the YouTube if you haven't already. That'd be great. And tag me on Instagram if you found any of this relatable or if you resonated with any of this, and maybe some takeaways, because I'd love to see it. And that's it. You guys know what to do. Or stay massive. I'll give you that one. Catch ya.